What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Kings related podcast, wherever you may be. And today we are diving into our NBA draft prospect spotlight, and we're going to take a look at one of the most exciting young basketball prospects in the world right now, who's been absolutely killing it all season. And as we get ready to watch March Madness tip off here later this week, we are taking a look at Cameron Boozer, the freshman forward from the Duke Blue Devils. But first, thank you as always for joining me for another edition of the show. And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you prefer. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. The 6'9" forward freshman from Duke has been dominating every level. High school, AAU ball, the college, and he is already being talked about as a future NBA star. But the big question that I'm asking today in this episode is, what would Cameron Boozer look like in the NBA, and how would he fit on the Sacramento Kings if they get lucky and get one of these top 4 picks, because Cam's not going to fall past 4 in this June's draft. And we're going to break down his game, his strengths and weaknesses, and how he could potentially fit into Sacramento's roster with this young core that already has Nick Clifford, Maxime Renaud, Keegan Murray, and even Dylan Cardwell. And the fit is actually pretty exciting. So enough of the talk. Let's get into it right now. Cameron Boozer is one of the most polished young forwards that we've seen in this basketball spotlight in years. 6'9", 250. So in the NBA, I think he could handle the size of today's NBA. He's not going to be like these other young players who come into the league and get pushed around. Great size for a freshman forward at 250 pounds. He plays like a throwback power forward with a modern twist. He has elite footwork in the post, advanced scoring instincts, and a very elite, impressive passing ability for a player his age. He's 19 years old, being a freshman, and the first thing that really stands out when you watch Cam play is his high basketball IQ. He processes the game very quickly, makes the smart reads offensively, defensively, and he is rarely rushed out there on the basketball floor. And honestly, if you watch him play, that shouldn't surprise anyone, being the son of a former 2-time NBA All-Star Carlos Boozer, who had a long and successful career in the NBA, most notably with the Utah Jazz. And growing up around the NBA basically his entire life, Cameron did, he clearly helped. Carlos Boozer clearly helped his son Cam understand the basketball instincts, from spacing and the timing to reading the opposing defenses. But Cameron Boozer isn't just writing the legacy that his dad wrote. He's building a name that might end up being bigger than his father was in the NBA. Like the offensive game, for instinct. Like Cameron Boozer's bread and butter is his scoring versatility. Like he can score on the post, attack from the mid range, finish through contact. Again, 6'9", 250. And he makes the smart reads on the floor. When defenses send the double teams, he is also an elite rebounder, which is a skill that translates extremely well to the NBA level. And his ability to create second chance opportunity gives his team a constant advantage on the glass. This season, 34 games at Duke, Cameron Boozer has averaged 10.2 rebounds this season. Absolutely amazing for an elite rebounder for his size. But the biggest swing skill, in my opinion, in his offensive game will be his three-point shot. This season at Duke, he is shooting 40.9% from downtown. And if that becomes a consistent part of his arsenal in his game at the NBA level, Boozer suddenly becomes a nightmare matchup for opposing defenses at the next level in the NBA. A 6'9" forward who can post up, rebound, pass, and stretch the floor. Like, that's the kind of player every NBA team that is tanking wants. Like especially for this Sacramento Kings team, who I think would be a perfect fit for Cameron Boozer. Now, like every young prospect, there are areas to improve, and Cam's got some areas to improve at. Like, he's strong and skilled, but he's not an elite vertical athlete right now. And while he can handle the ball, most of his scoring currently comes from inside the arc. But the foundation of his offensive game is extremely advanced for his age at 19 years old. How does that fit with the Sacramento Kings? Now, this is where things get really interesting when we're talking about fit, especially with this Kings team. Can you imagine? Put your thinking cap on for a minute. Imagine a front court featuring Domantas Sabonis and Cameron Boozer. You got two high IQ bigs, two elite rebounders, and two players who are capable of passing and running the offense through the elbow. Like Sacramento, they could run offense through either player, creating constant motion and cutting opportunities for Keegan Murray, Nick Clifford, Maxime Breno. And then you surround Sabonis and Boozer with shooters like Keegan Murray and versatile wings like a DeAndre Hunter. All of a sudden, this Sacramento Kings lineup looks extremely balanced from previous seasons, and you have the scoring inside, you have shooting on the perimeter, you have the playmaking from multiple positions. But the biggest question will be the spacing. That's the big question. Like, if you have both Sabonis and Boozer, that's the number one question, is the spacing. If Cameron Boozer's 3-point shot takes time to develop at the NBA level, then the paint area could get a little crowded for Sacramento. But if he puts in the work and that shot becomes more reliable, again, he shot 40.93 in college, but if he can shoot from a reliable, consistent mark, this front court pairing could become one of the most skilled big man duos in the NBA next season. If we're talking Sabonis and Boozer, my preference would probably be to trade Sabonis this offseason, because I don't think it would be a great fit if you trade Sabonis. If you do trade Sabonis, I think having Boozer with Max, Dylan, Keegan, and even Dylan would be a little better than having both him and Sabonis on this team together. So that would be my preference, is to trade Sabonis. But how would this young core fit with the Sacramento Kings if we're looking at it from a bigger picture perspective? Now let's zoom out and look at this from a bigger picture, because this is all about the future for this Sacramento Kings team. And because Boozer wouldn't just fit with the veterans that are on this team, and who knows, you could just have DeRozan on this team next year. I don't think Westbrook will be back, but who knows? Zach LaVine most likely will be back, but who knows if they don't trade him in the offseason. But Cameron Boozer, he could also fit with the Kings' young core. Players like Nick Clifford, who brings the defensive versatility and the toughness on the wings that we've seen throughout this season already from a defensive aspect of Clifford's game. You got Maxime Reynaud. He could develop into a stretch big who protects the rim if he gets stronger this offseason, while also spacing the floor. Like, if Maxime can be a consistent shooter from outside, that could also be a helpful hand for Sacramento going forward. And then you got Dylan Cardwell, who brings the hustle, the energy, and off that Kings bench that we've seen, we've always seen him blocking shots as a rim protector this season, and as a rebounder, we've seen Dylan. And when you combine those pieces, Carlos Boozer begins to look like the interior anchor of a really intriguing young core that the Sacramento Kings could build around, because you'd have Boozer controlling the paint, Clifford's providing that perimeter defense, Max stretching the floor. You got Dylan Cardwell, who can also protect the rim, the rebound, and that's kind of a balanced foundation teams try to build around to go into the future as they are looking ahead. So if Cameron Boozer reaches his ceiling in the NBA, and we're talking about a perennial all-star caliber power forward, a player who can score from the inside, he can rebound and act as a secondary playmaker in this Kings offense. For the Sacramento Kings, that could bring a completely new offensive dimension to the offense next season and beyond. But maybe more importantly, Cameron Boozer could give the Kings something that they've sometimes have lacked, and that is physicality in the front court. This team has not had physicality in the front court for the longest of times. And to have that would be such a welcome sight for this Kings team going forward. Because Cam's strength, the rebounding, the interior scoring could help give Sacramento a tougher identity. And how many times have we talked about this team being soft in games against physical teams for a long time? And especially when it comes to playoff basketball, where it's tougher and more physical brand of basketball in the playoffs. And honestly, this might be, Cameron Boozer might be exactly what this Sacramento Kings team needs for next season as they look to build this team. And if they do get Cam, he instantly becomes the face of this franchise going forward and immediately becomes the best player on this team. So my question for you, if you're watching this on YouTube, listening on your preferred audio platform, so that's it for today's episode. But my question is, would Cameron Boozer be the perfect future fit for the Sacramento Kings? Let me know in the comments down below. Or do you think the Kings should build their future around different young talent like Kingston Fleming, Darius Acuff, AJ DeBonsa, or someone else in this draft? Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you prefer. And we are a video podcast on Spotify and YouTube, so by all means, please catch the video feed. And don't forget to hit that notify bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode or the breakdown of the next generation of NBA talent as we continue this prospect spotlight series. And thank you as always for joining me on the Kings related podcast. And as always, we'll see you next time, and go Kings.